Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shifting Tides. Today, I am delighted to bring to you Daniel Rechnitzer from Australia. Daniel, you won't believe it, talks to the universe, and he does that for a living. He is the founder of Intuitive Wisdom and the author of best selling novels. One of his latest books, Lose Your Mind, that is the sanest thing to do. Let's welcome Daniel. Welcome, Daniel. Welcome to Shifting Tides. So glad to have you.
Thank you, Mahima. It is an absolute pleasure to be on with you, and hello to everyone watching.
Daniel, you do something very unique. We all have heard and often hear people say, listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. Now, you are actually, we do that once in a while, but you do that for a living. You do that as a way of life. So, the
This
first
is,
question I'd like to
yeah,
ask you,
yes.
how did you get here?
It's my whole life's journey. I was a very sensitive child growing up, and I could feel everyone's energy and their moods and their thoughts and their intentions, and I could feel it all very strongly. And as I got older, I started to realize that this what I thought was a bit of a curse was actually quite a gift. And I started to nurture this more and more, and I started to accept it and embrace it. And the more I learned to trust it, the stronger this intuition became. And by the time I got into my 20s, I was actually using it in business. I used to help small businesses in marketing, and I would sit in front of an audience of 100 people that asked me questions, and the answers would just come through. And I started to realize, this is pretty amazing what's going on here. I didn't fully understand it, but it was jarring for me to use it in business, and I wanted to apply it to areas that were more soulful. Now, I had a lot of friends and family at the time asking if that, answers for their health issues, illnesses, diseases, and all kinds of things, relationships. And I thought, well, I want to take it there. I want to take it into that path, and I want to take it into the enlightenment arena. So I went deeper and deeper into the intuition. Very, very detailed story. So how deep do you want me to go, Mahima?
Yeah. See, I'm sure that it actually got triggered by some event in your life. And usually, events leading to something like this are very profound, and usually they are troublesome. This is like you're in usually a
Yes.
dark space. So, did
Yes.
something like this happen in your childhood or when you were growing?
Hundreds of things like that happened. So I had this kind of real pronounced duality growing up. On one hand, I was being raised to be highly ambitious, achieve, succeed, desire riches and be like everyone else. And on the other hand, I felt a very soft, gentle, nurturing kind of tug at me going, no, no, follow this way. Don't go that way, follow this way. And throughout my childhood and teenage years, and even into my early 20s, there was a very distinct conflict. I was attached, I was needy, I was seduced by that societal direction,
Mm.
and and I kept dipping my toe into the enlightenment side and the intuitive side and the healing side, but I couldn't commit 100%. And the more I went into this business ambition and succeeding, achieving, accomplishing direction, the worse I felt. So I reached many points throughout my teens and 20s of achieving various levels of success whilst achieving various levels of suffering and pain and anxiety and a lack of fulfillment. So it kind of they built upon each other until it was probably around 26, 27, 28, where it was, I couldn't keep going in that societal direction. And
But
I
one
ended
question,
up just, yeah, go.
while you were saying this, you obviously, even though you had societal pressures and even though you were not able to relate to many things which were going on in your environment, you had a fallback, you had something to lean on to, which was giving you some ray of hope and light. Now, how did you process that at such a young age? Is my first question. And second, related to that, is was there any other example in your environment that you could understand what was going on, or was it a very big blank?
Yeah, well, let's just answer that question first. I
Mm.
didn't have a person per se in my family or relatives where, okay, this is the path, I should follow that, because they were all going in the opposite direction. They were lawyers and engineers and doctors and business people. They were the opposite role models, the anti role model for where I needed to go. But as far as society is concerned, the very typical successful role model. So no, I didn't have that, but I'd always felt since I was very young, and I can't really explain it, but I always felt I was connected to something much greater, that there was a higher me or a higher energy, God or universe that was watching over me, communicating with me, and looking after me, keeping me safe. I've always felt that my whole life. And that's not to say I was always peaceful and relaxed and never was in fear or having anxiety. That's not the same thing. But I'd always felt, okay, I am connected to something much bigger. And that didn't come from somebody per se. It was always there. But my own experience of testing the waters, of going down their path, of trying to be like them and sit in their space, in their energy, and try and want the same thing. My own experience of trying to be very human like them, very society driven, it just wasn't me. And it was jarring and it was unpleasant. And um, it just put me into chaos.
Yeah, yeah. But when you're something like this and you are walking against the tide, usually,
Mm.
all your life, which I did, and
Yes.
many times along the way, I felt I was getting ostracized by the society because there was very little acceptance wherever I went. Did the same happen to you? Did you feel
Well,
out of
I
place, or
never
did you feel?
felt what I was present to was I'm going to disappoint people.
Hmm,
I'm not going to live up to my mother's expectation or my father's, or I'm going to be seen as less by the relatives or the people I grew up with.
yeah.
There was this sense of, yeah, disappointment and, well, look at him, he's wasted his life. He didn't go anywhere.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Um, and it became my biggest fear as well. It was like, no, God, I hope I don't get to some old age and look back and go, oh, I didn't give it a go. I didn't try. And so I really did push that as that angle, that direction as far as possible. But it was, every time I went back into the spiritual, helping people, connecting into the universe or writing books, it was such a beautiful, gentle space, so different from this entrepreneurial business space. I was trying it, but it was very clear. It was so uncomfortable. It was just not me.
Hmm. Any particular incident which you feel was actually the biggest shift for you? It was a turning point for you.
You know what? I get asked that so often, and I am yet to pinpoint a specific event or specific incident because in my life there are so many shifts. On a daily basis, there's a shift. On a weekly basis, there's 20 shifts. There's in the some days there's five, some days there's 10. Throughout the last 15 25 years of my life, there's always coming up against the blockage, a belief system, a societal direction or pressure that requires healing and overcoming. So it's just been layer upon layer of breakthrough, breakthrough, breakthrough. So not one specific event that was like bang, everything changed. It's been a series of unfolding.
Yeah, yeah. But anything that comes to your mind which was really bizarre and it left you stumped. I mean, it just left you, or it actually gave you the conviction that you're on the right path.
Right. Well, you know what? There was as I was kind of getting into my late teens and early 20s, there was this um, intense curiosity about spirituality and clairvoyance and ESP and all these things. And a friend of mine said to me, "You got to come and meet this couple. There's this guy and there's a man and a woman, and you got to come. They're healers. You got to come and meet them." And I went there, and they're doing hands-on healing, and I lay down on this table, and she put her hands on my head. And as she put her hands on my head, all these heat started coming out. And she started telling me all of my thoughts, all of my fears and issues, and all the things I was dealing with. And it was became amazingly clear to me that there is this connection, this sensitivity to things that I had felt. And I went down a journey with them for quite a few years, and until I realized that I had to kind of connect and bring through my own modality. So that was probably one of the more influential experiences, having that very direct contact and relationship with them. Uh, you know what? Since then, there's just been this, like, it's hard to explain. Like every day there is a huge revelation because I'm constantly connected. I'm constantly talking to the universe in every moment.
Yeah.
There's all I sit in the bath, I was in, the shower or go for a walk. There's bang, I'm being told new things, I'm being shown new things, I'm healing new things. It's been like that for 25 years.
Oh wow, wow. And you call this universal voice as universal intelligence, and it's obviously the intelligence of our higher self.
Yes, to me, the universe and our higher self are essentially one and the same. There's lots of different phrases and terminology, and it just depends on what you mean by it. See, to me, my higher self is the part of me that is not the identity. It's the part of
Mm,
me that is beyond the mind, and
mm.
that part is the knowing of the universe, and we all have that available to us. So I use it far and wide in every day. And so, yes, I've been connecting to that intelligence since, well, forever, but I didn't really know what I was doing until I was about, 18, 19, 20.
So, would you say that universal intelligence or our higher self operates from the heart? Because your recent book also said, lose your mind. That's the sanest thing to do. So, which means that mind has very little role to play in our lives.
Well, you kind of want it to play a very little role. It tends to play a very big role, and that's what this new book, Losing Your Mind, is all about. Is that we've nurtured as a society, we've nurtured the mind and seen it as this powerhouse, as the source of answers, the source of our genius, when in fact it's the biggest hindrance to everything and the biggest blockage in our life.
Yeah.
So the heart, in terms of you looking at the anatomy and the higher self, um, is definitely a much cleaner space to get information from. But the higher self, the universe, uses many different faculties and experiences to convey messages. But definitely, we're talking about get out of the mind is one of the most important skills to start nurturing and cultivating. I experience messages. I do feel them in my heart, but I feel them all over my body. I see visions, I hear words, I get feelings, pictures, like I said. So for some people, it might just be a heartfelt message. For me, what that's all about is really follow the love. If you're in love with something, that's your higher self also in love with that something and saying, go down that path.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you are able to see so much and have the vision or hear the voices or get information, it can be very scary because the information can be both negative and positive, right?
The information coming from the mind, the ego self, is the scary side because that's always you're not good enough, you're going to fail, this isn't going to work out, you're not safe, you're not wanted, everyone rejects you, and you. That's the non-safe. The conversations coming from the mind is just rehashing all of our oldest and most traumatizing experiences. The conversations from the higher self, I think there was a point where it was scary because there was a process of letting go of the old. Let go
Mhm.
of this person, let go of this initiative, let go of this job, let go of that thing. And that was a scary, that was confronting more than anything. These days, I know that the stuff that is being shown to me, even though it's sometimes very confronting, like I've been on this huge healing journey over the last 2 years in particular. I mean, the last 20, but in particular, the last 2 years. And you get shown very intense things, but those intense things aren't truth. So you're just being shown what you thought was truth, you're attached to as truth, you've identified as truth, but we're never truth in the first place. So the conversations with the universe, the higher self, aren't scary. They're just expanding, and sometimes you have to be willing to let go and loosen your grip on your
Yeah,
attachments.
yeah, yeah. And you have been on this journey, you have been also very fortunate to attract a partner who's on similar level, similar plane. And she believes, does follow exactly the path you're walking on.
Well, yeah, we it's quite funny because when I was running this marketing business, I was doing this meditation. I got this message: it's time to sell your marketing business. And I was like, oh, who's going to buy that, right? I'm the one who presents it. It was tricky. I ended up making a phone call, and a friend of mine said, oh, I've got this lady. She's interested. Go have a meeting. I was like, oh, this is going to be a complete waste of time. Turn up to this meeting. She's very interested. And then she says, oh, why are you selling? And I said, oh, well, I'm getting into this universal intelligence, this healing work, and accessing the universe for answers. Go, oh my God, that's amazing. I want to know more about it. And this is now this person is now my wife, and she heads up all the training at intuitionwisdom.com, and she runs all that side of things. So we left the marketing business and we moved together forward, having a family,
Wow.
and teaching all these abilities that we have to connect and be on purpose and help other people as intuitive practitioners and coaches.
Amazing. You also once narrated a story of how she managed to get pain-free births of your
Yeah,
children.
she's extraordinary, and I'm very fortunate that we were both in a space to allow that to happen. When it came to having birth, we got the message from higher self and the universe saying it's time to have kids. I was like, whoa, that's you talk about scary messages. There's a good example of one, Mahima. Um, and her biggest fear was the pain. I can't go through this. This is going to be painful. And the first message that came through was, it's not meant to be painful. That's just the human experience, and it's not a necessary experience. So she would, for the whole 9 months of my son being in the womb, she actually would connect through this intuitive part and to his soul, to his higher self. And he would dictate to her every day, step by step, instructions on what it will take to have a completely natural pain free birth.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
she was getting the answers straight from my son in the womb as an all-knowing being, as his soul, right? Clear these belief systems, clear this, open yourself to this, let go of that, become unattached to this, da, 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 bang, 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 rest your body, da, da. What and this was this amazing book. It was a dialogue between her and her higher self and her and his higher self. And this book, 9 months later, we went into birth, and she had a beautiful, all natural, pain-free birth, no drugs, no nothing, no hypnobirthing, none of that, just from clearing our perceptions of birth and our belief systems, and shifting parts of her identity that were holding her back. So this became a beautiful book called All Natural Pain-Free Birth: A Soul's Journey to Earth.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Beautiful. And
Well,
you're
and she did it again too with my daughter. My daughter was born in 45 minutes, slipped straight out, no pain, no nothing.
amazing, really.
Mm.
This is breakthrough information. I mean, this everybody could follow.
I know, absolutely. And it's 13 years later, it's like we didn't, more people should know about this book, and what she did was a true breakthrough. I mean, she even spoke to journalists about it when we were doing some of the publicity for the book, and they were arguing with her, going, "This isn't possible. I don't want to hear about it." And it's like, well, I just did it. Come on.
Wow, wow. And tell me, Daniel, you have also over the years discovered this beautiful machine of talking about vibrational frequency and how you can raise your
Yes.
vibration and all. Could you talk a little about that and maybe show us the machine as well?
Oh, I would love to. I would love to. About 20 years ago, I was in a really intense phase of downloading information and all this stuff. And I was told, when I'm a bit older, I'm going to invent a device that changes people's vibrational frequency, because I was learning all about that from the universe. And in fact, that would raise people's vibrational frequency, which is so important on healing, on manifesting, on living a great life and changing the world. And it was only during the last 2 years, and it started coming through to me, the kind of the blueprint, the idea, the plans, the steps on how to create this device. And what this is, it's called the Enlighten Me. Here you go.
Okay,
Enlighten
like
Me machine.
hmm.
Can't quite. There you go. It's kind of blurring in there, but Enlighten Me
Yeah, we can
machine.
see that.
It's
We can.
actually, you can see that, great. It generates this healing frequency, which raises to our awareness the things that are holding us back. So if you can understand that the mind is like this hard drive storing our biggest regrets, our failures, our disappointments, our traumas, our rejections, our hurt, our pain. The mind is storing this stuff, but it's not storing it up here. The mind is storing all of this through our anatomy. It's like every organ, every tissue, every muscle is like a little hard drive. And this is why we how we manifest illnesses and diseases and aging, because we are full to the brim with a lifetime of negative experiences, negative thoughts, and destructive belief systems. So the Enlighten Me machine actually brings this stuff up. It's like pulls it out of you, pulls it out of your body. So it's um, this amazing awareness tool. It brings it up for you to see, oh, let that go, let that go, let that go. So it's just this express way of spring cleaning what's been stuck inside of
Wow.
ourselves for years. And the deepest stuff, I mean, I've been doing healing without the enlightenment. We've been teaching it for 25 years, but there's still so much deep stuff that you don't want to look at.
Yeah, I know.
And not only do you not want to look at it, you are of the belief system that holding on to certain things is actually to our advantage, which is why we stay sick. We think we're getting something. So there's so much in there that is causing damage, but we think holding on to that way of thinking, that way of life, is serving us. So it's very hard to heal when we think we need it. So the Enlighten Me machine just cuts straight in and just says, you need to let go of this, and helps you clear it really quickly. Yeah,
Is
in
it out in
seconds.
the market yet? Is it out in the market?
Well, it is. It is. It's online at enlightenme.today.
Okay.
enlightenme.today or intuitionwisdom.com. You can get there either way. And I'll be doing an event coming up very soon to share more about it and do some demonstrations. I'm happy to do with you, Mahima, if you like.
Love to.
Um,
Would love to.
yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Yeah. So it's brand new and it's designed to come out with this new book called Losing Your Mind. That's the only sane thing to do. They
Yes.
work together.
I see. I see. Fantastic. So tell me, Daniel, do you think what you have done and what you're currently doing, and your book is out now, do you think world has actually come to a point to understand this, or are we still long way off?
You know what? The great thing is it doesn't take the whole world to be ready to understand this for there to be the right amount of change. We often think, oh, we need 8 billion people, whatever it is now, 7 billion people to all be thinking along these lines and elevating their frequency. It doesn't take that. It takes only a small percentage to be making shifts and elevating themselves and having awakenings and going through realizations that that frequency is powerful enough to elevate the collective.
Yeah.
And I feel that's a big reason why I was shown to create this Enlighten Me machine, because a bunch of them around the planet is raising the frequency. A bunch of the books around the planet is raising the frequency, in addition to what everyone else is doing, what you're doing, what other authors are doing. And you had Neil Donald Walsh on, and lots of amazing people, and we're all helping to raise it. So to answer your question, there's enough people ready and putting their hand up saying, yes, I want this next level, that it's enough to make a huge change. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So can you just give us an idea on what are the different kind of things you teach people, or the kind of workshops or courses you do with people that
Oh,
can
sure.
actually help people
I would love
elevate their
to.
consciousness? Yeah.
Yeah. The very first course that we teach people is how to heighten their intuition so that they can perceive the subtle messages that all around us. And in particular, when you start connecting to your higher self. So, our primary course is around meeting your higher self, learning how to connect to your higher self, how to get answers and information from your higher self. That's, to me, is, if we never did anything else, that's the most important thing we do. And it
Okay.
was the very first course that we ever created. Um, After that, we teach people how to clear what's in their subconscious mind, because that not only is dictating our entire reality and our finances, our health, our well-being, our relationships, but it's also getting in the way of our level of connection with our higher self. So it's really important to start cleaning ourselves from all this baggage and what we've been accumulating since we were in the womb. All
Yeah.
these ideas we have about ourselves, these concepts we've built that we believe about ourselves. I'm not loved, I'm not important, I'm rejected, I'm not important, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving. Uh, Clearing all of that. So we take people through connecting the higher self, clearing their subconscious mind, and then we go really deep into a program in learning to work with other people, how to help heal other people and bring messages from their higher self back to them. And that's our practitioner training. So we do a
Okay.
self-mastery program and we do a practitioner learning. So how to master your own reality, and then how to help other people through connecting to the universe and their higher self as well.
And how long are these courses usually? I mean, how much time can person get to that level of
Yeah,
clearing
well,
all
connecting to your
their
higher
mess?
self. Yeah, we've got a 2 hour program. You can learn how to connect to your higher self in less than 2 hours. But we do make it longer so you can have lots of practice, so you can get into the detail and ask lots of questions. And then our practitioner program ranges around 10 weeks long. So to me, it's the most advanced, beyond a life coach, beyond a healer training, because it's you're not relying on psychology, you're not relying on questions or processes. you're surrendering yourself to the information of the universe and that person's higher self to give you the answers. So you don't need to know anything about this person. You just need to get out of the way so the information come
And
through,
come to, yeah.
deliver truths and healing and awake and realizations.
Yeah, so usually we are the ones who come in the way of ourselves, for ourselves. We are the ones who are actually our biggest enemy, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, because we made ourselves up,
Yeah,
Mahima.
yeah,
We invented Daniel. We invented Mahima. We have created a fictitious identity that was based on, yep, I'm going to be that person who is not wanted. I'm going to be that person who is unimportant. I'm going to be that person who's not smart enough. I'm going to be that person who needs more attention or who needs more money. We've identified with all these concepts. And by identifying with them, Mahima, we stuck them into us. So
yeah,
now we have this identity that is made up, right? Made up of all these beliefs. And that is distorting the connection to the higher self, which is really what our true self is.
when we are going into
Oh, yes.
self, are we accessing the plan of the soul?
Oh, beautiful. Such a good question. So, since we're very young, and we're trying to figure out who are we, what's our place, we start accumulating ideas about ourselves, concepts. I'm this, I'm unimportant, I'm not necessary, I'm an annoyance, I need to try harder, I need to achieve. And we start adding all these beliefs and concepts and ideas into ourselves.
Mm.
And over the years, we get literally thousands of these concepts that it creates an identity unto itself. And this person, this identity is who we've come to think we are.
Yeah,
But it was completely made up right from the beginning. Because when you move away the mind, if you go beyond the mind, there is still the soul or the higher self. And that's an intelligent, conscious energy that's eternal, infinite, the universe itself, and it chooses certain life experiences on this planet, on other planets, in other galaxies, in other dimensions, in lots of different ways to help itself grow. So the universe is wanting to grow. And so it's created life as one of the many beautiful pathways to experience itself as love and as a way of growing and expanding. So it says, I'm going to come into Daniel's body, or I'm going to come into Mahima's body, and there's certain key realizations that I want to have in this lifetime. I'm not fussed necessarily about how much money is made. I'm not fussed necessarily about what is achieved or what is not achieved. What is important, what matters throughout time and space, or beyond time and space, I should say, is the realizations, is the growth, because that affects the universe. The money doesn't mean anything. Achievement doesn't mean anything. So the soul plan is what will support the realization of greatness, what will support the realization of self-love.
mm.
And so we find ourselves in lots of different situations that the mind is tugging and pulling and pushing us to, and the soul is going to go, no, 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 don't go that way. We're trying to have a bigger realization here without all the pain and struggle along the way. So for me, what I've come to see with this soul plan is it's quite flexible, and it needs to be. The world is always changing, the mind is always interrupting and sabotaging, and ego is always causing chaos. So the soul is very patient, and is I think one of the wonderful things, and I shared this in the film Beyond the Secret, The Awakening, is that here we are so busy on trying to manifest things. We're setting goals and dream boards and vision boards, and nothing, Mahima, nothing that we are imagining for ourselves or putting as our goals comes anywhere near what our soul has imagined for us.
Wow. And we spend our whole life doing that. We spend such a long time.
Pursuing
Yeah.
what as far as the universe is concerned, is this big. The universe is saying, I'm trying to give you so much more, and you're just going for this? Are you serious? And that to me has been one of the most awesome realizations is life is always giving to us. But we are so busy in the mind, in scarcity, in fear, in I'm not enough. We can't see how much the universe wants to give
Yeah,
to us. We can't see how big it is because we're not deserving or worthy or lovable. So we push it away instead of inviting it in.
yeah,
Yeah. So the soul's plan is really ditch the mind, lose the mind, become one with me, and we can experience love, bliss, growth without struggle. And we can do amazing things because I'm imagining a bigger life for you than what you can possibly imagine for yourself. So get out of the driver's seat and let me take over.
yeah, yeah. Something like this usually comes to an adult who has been through a lot of mess in his or her life. And then ultimately you come to this realization, or they happen to meet Daniel. And then that's where their transformative journey starts. But how about actually giving this information and knowledge to children so that they do not
Well, this
spend the rest of their life creating a messy life?
Yes, and this is such a thing dear to my heart because I have two young kids, and doing this, you kind of ask, how do I get to where I am today? And it's through being messed up, as a child, not
Yeah,
directly from my parents, but through society itself,
yeah.
coming up against all these horrible belief systems, all this self-doubt, all this self-hatred, and having to heal all that for myself. And in healing that for myself, and of course that I'm still on that journey, you come to see that parents all around the world are handing down their belief systems to their children to create the same mess in their life that the mum and dad have created. And so when I started writing Mind Lies and I was writing Losing Your Mind, it's become such a big thing to me to then how do we translate that into something for the kids so that they're not growing up with belief systems, that rather they're growing up with the absence of a belief system and all they know is truth and universal consciousness.
Yes.
And that is something that I will be doing with Losing Your Mind is adapting that to children. I
Mm.
mean, we've been teaching intuition for kids for over 10 years. My wife and I have been very careful not to dump our baggage, our belief systems onto our children. And if we do, we're also very careful to heal that, to clear that within them as well.
Mm.
So they are a really amazing example of what a soul in a body looks like. And they're always connected. They always have truth. They've been giving me truth since they could talk. It's amazing.
Amazing, amazing. And obviously
Mhm.
they are growing up without any filters. That is
Yes.
such a big piece.
So this idea of mind, body, soul is now becoming body, soul.
Yeah. So the mind
We've
obviously
grown up
takes the
thinking, oh,
back
we need the
seat.
mind.
Mm.
Yeah, without the mind, they are a higher self in a body. And that to me was my biggest objective as a parent is that my children know that they are the universe, that they don't see themselves as the mind, they don't see themselves as the beliefs or the identity or their failures or any of these things, that they see themselves as the expansive universe.
Yeah, yeah.
And
What comes to
yeah,
me, my Daniel, is most of our belief systems which are detrimental to our growth, or they come in the way of our progress or evolution or transformation, comes from religion.
a lot does indeed.
Yes, comes from religion, because there are such rigid belief systems in every religion, and that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
blocks our mind to receiving a lot more what world has to or life has to offer.
Yes.
Now, when you're talking about universal intelligence, we are obviously going beyond any faith, beyond religion,
100%.
beyond any form of belief.
Yes.
So, my question to you is what faith were you raised in? And
Oh, good question.
how did you actually break away from that belief of form to coming to universal intelligence, which is formless?
I love that question. All right. I was raised in a Jewish family
Mm-hmm.
and I was put into a Jewish school. And we were taught Hebrew and we were taught religion. We were taught all about the Holocaust and we were taught all about the various traditions and beliefs and all of that. Now, it's a pretty intense as a religion, as far as religions go, Judaism, being a Jew, I should kind of separate that. There's Judaism and what it is to be a Jew in this
Yeah,
modern age.
yeah,
Um, is it is a very rigid way of being. And I struggled immensely. I was growing up being told to put a kippah on, and I was, going to being told to pray every day, and I didn't know what I was saying or who I was praying to. I had no concept. Self, God, however you want to term it. And I was asking, so what's the deal? What's the deal with these religions and these concepts and these principles? And the answers that I kept getting was, a lot of religions, they start out as enlightened truth. There's this core of enlightened truth, but over the years on this planet, the ego mind has dominated and kept throwing in these little red herrings and these beliefs and these ideas and concepts, which ultimately disconnect you from truth itself. And
yeah.
I really got into the detail of, religions. This is one of the big responses I got. Any religion that has you feel inadequate, not perfect, not divine yet, not lovable yet, are
And
actually,
fearful, and fearful, and fearful.
that's all the ego. That's all the mind designed to disconnect you from your soul.
Yeah,
Because what connects you to your soul is self-belief, self-love, and seeing yourself as perfect. So you get to see religions have actually come in and been polluted to such a degree that they're actually now working to disconnect people from spirituality rather than bring
yeah,
people closer. Now, not all religions are like this. I'm just talking generally, so don't be offended, everyone out there, if you're in a religion. But any of these a lot of these religions are actually designed by the mind itself to disconnect people, not
yeah,
bring people closer.
yeah. You're bringing up two children. How does faith play a role in your family life?
Um, my children have been raised to talk to their higher self.
Mm-hmm.
They were told from a very young age that you are the whole universe and you have a higher being that is you. And my son is immediately directly connected to that. But my daughter, who's 4 years younger, she actually said something really interesting recently. I had one of my practitioners was working with her just because they're best friends, and she's saying, ask your higher self a question. And my daughter's like, I don't understand. And my practitioner said, Daniel, what's going on? And I said, well, she sees herself as her higher self. So asking her to connect to something else makes no sense to her.
Oh, oh,
So,
wow.
so it was the next level for me. I'd raised my son to connect to something, but my daughter is that something already. And I
Amazing.
had to do a little bit of extra work with my son to go, all right, well, we call him Big Ollie because his son's name's Oliver. This is Big Ollie. And I've had to shift that to that. So whatever he's hearing or whatever he's thinking or perceiving is his higher self. So you can go very advanced with these kids. They are ripe and ready to see themselves as their higher self already.
Oh, amazing, amazing. I think what I would like to request you is to give a message from the universal intelligence
for
Shifting Tides.
Okay, let's tap in and let's see what the message is. Okay, it's funny, it's coming through. Don't believe everything you think about yourself because none of it is true. And there is this infinite part of you that is knocking at your door saying, let me in because I'm the real you. And that's what this whole new book, Losing Your Mind, it's the only sane thing to do is the pathway to just let in the real you and find out who you've been, who you truly are.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Daniel. How is Shifting Tides as a show helping people transform or at least be inspired or at least try and bring a certain change or shift in their lives?
Okay. So there's another message coming through about the importance of shifting tides. What you're doing, Mahima, as I know you feel in your heart, is so important because it's very easy to fall into the mind. Society is grounded in the mind's thinking, in the mind's ways, in the mind's being. What you bring is the messages of the universe through all these amazing people that you have on. So we often get caught up in, oh, that's Daniel, or that's Neil, or that's whoever, but it's all just the universe talking through everyone. It's the same source of information, it's the same intelligence. So what the universe would like to say is keep on going with what you're doing because the words of truth are so powerful and so profound, they are creating a much bigger awakening than you're present to right now, and a much bigger awakening than the people watching are present to. So you've got to just keep going with it, keep going forward. Even if you're bringing back the same guests, again, that's totally fine because they'll have something else to say, or people will be able to hear things again in a different way. The most important thing, above all else, is that you're listening to the messages. And that's the most important thing. This is for your growth just as much as it is for everyone else. And the bigger the growth and the bigger the shifts in you, the bigger the shifts in your audience. Because it's your show, because you've created it, you've birthed it, people are connecting into your energy, your consciousness. So as you have realizations and as you have shifts and awakening, that makes it more possible. It kind of like greases the joints to make that expand for everyone else as well.
I so relate to that. I so relate to that. Because when I started this, this was just around the time when COVID, when the pandemic struck the world. And it was around that time. And 2 seasons down, I couldn't recognize the person I had become. I was so
beautiful.
And it was at a very subtle level, but I knew there has been a major, major, major shift. And that shift was not, it was like palpable. It was palpable in me. And there were lots and lots of times when I say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired. Or I don't know if it is benefiting people because, everything you measure by the number of people who are watching it. But later, what came to me was that even if someone's talk or someone's message has impacted 10 people in the world, it's done its job. It's done its work.
It's worthwhile.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the message is, because I felt that there's been times of, is it reaching enough people? Is this worth pursuing? And that's why the universe came in and said, oh, you keep going, because it comes down to, as long as you are having the shifts, more people will find it. More people will have the same realizations. You just keep going. You don't stop.
Yes. Thank you so much, Daniel. Oh, this was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. That was so delightful. My takeaway today is to break all the barriers, all the self limiting beliefs, all the doubts we create in our lives that stop us from growing, evolving, transforming. So look within and see, is there a higher voice speaking with you? Is there a higher intelligence wanting to break free and talk to you and give you guidance and take you on the road to progress, self progress? That's it for now. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Goodbye for now. If you found value, depth, and are touched by these incredible stories of transformation on Shifting Tides, I invite you to be a part of this journey. How could you do that? Well, first, you may contribute by sharing this video with at least one person in your circles who may just need it. And two, you may contribute by making a donation. Big or small, doesn't matter. As long as it helps us to keep bringing these stories onto you and keep the momentum going. The link for making a donation is in the bio and description. Thank you for your continued support and being a part of Shifting Tides family. Thank you.